Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. Now, there is a brand new movie out. It is called The Problem with People, and it stars none other than Colm Meaney. And this lady on the phone, hello, Eimear Morrissey, how are you doing?
Hello, Trina, how are you?
Can you be arrested? Can I first start off with asking you, can you be arrested for impersonating a Garda? Because that is exactly what you're doing in this film.
I know. Actually, I have a bit of a funny story about that particular guard that I played. I based her on a guard that I met. And I told the story at the audition, and I'm pretty sure it helped me make them laugh. Right. Was during lockdown, you know, when you could only meet up in groups of 6, and we had gone out for dinner with the girls because we hadn't seen each other in ages, and then afterwards, obviously we didn't want to go home, so we went to the canal with some fizzy drinks in some cans. And we were just sitting around chatting, you know, and I think we were like, you know, catching up on everybody's life. And anyway, 2 guards came over. And first of all, the male guard came over and he said, look, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to ask you to move on. And we were like, no problem, guard. Thanks a million. He was like, oh, I'm really sorry. And I hope he was really sweet. And then another guard came up behind him.
You're one. This is your one now, is it?
Who I've 100% based Lizzie on. And she came over to us and she looked at us. And she looked at the bag and she just looked like deadpan. And this was not a joke. And she went, in the bin, ladies. And I actually, as I walked away, I was like, I'm going to play you someday. And I said to myself, like, joke, never thinking it was going to happen. And then lo and behold, 2022, it comes in. And I feel like Lizzie, she has probably like grown up really wanting to be a guard and learned everything that she did from watching cop shows from the 80s in, you know, US
Beverly
cop
Hills
shows.
Cops are no better movie to watch with the man himself, Paul Reiser.
Exactly, with Paul Reiser, And so that became this running joke then on set because, you know, after lunch, everyone would still have their, like, you know, their containers and, you know, I'd be walking around like, in the bin, ladies, and this just became this running joke the whole time.
It's like you felt 15 all over again sitting by the canal.
I know,
that
the shame.
Funny.
But it was in the bin. It was just, and the way she delivered it, it's so funny.
Yeah, because have you had any other run-ins with the guards? Like, have you ever been stopped for speeding or?
Never.
Are you a bold girl? Are you quite good?
No, like absolute goody, completely. Right. But it was funny when, again, when you were talking about the impersonating the guard, when we were on set, we did a lot of it in Wicklow. We filmed an awful lot of it in Wicklow. And we were filming, I can't remember what scenes we were filming, but it was like the wake of one of the characters. And where the house was, you had to kind of walk out and down the road to go to where the toilets and the tea and coffee and stuff was. And there were 1 or 2 times where I was walking on my own. Now, when I say there's a hub of activity around, and cars that were driving down the road, but as soon as they saw me in the uniform would slow down, they were 100% convinced. And it was just, there ended up being a real guard on set one day, or was around, or called over, and I was saying, you know, because obviously there were other guards, and I'm not the only guard in it, you know, there were other people in the uniform, they're like, are you real, are you not real? And I was saying to the guys, I was like, the power.
I know. Did you feel the power? Did you love it?
Well, not really. Kind of. Only because I knew I could get out of the jacket. Or get out of the clothes. But it's the thing of like everybody stops. Because you know yourself. Like if I'm driving down the road, going on normal speed or whatever, if there's a guard at checkpoint and you know you haven't had a drink in a year and a half.
Oh yeah, you're
in your
sweating.
head. You're like, oh my god, what if something shows up on it?
I know. I'm sweating the checkpoint for the tax, even though the car is taxed. I'm like, oh Jesus, why am I being pulled over?
And I think it's just because we've obviously been brought up to like respect them and well, I'm reticent to say fear them, but you know. But so I totally got it.
That guard, if they go to see this, they recognise you. They be like, what was the line again? In the bin.
In the bin, ladies. It was the ladies that got me. Oh, it was just too funny. So I hope she appreciates it.
Absolutely,
you know, I hope she appreciates the nod to her. But obviously not all of us. You know.
Well, you never know. You need to be kind to Eimear because you never know when she might take you off in a film. So I'm just hoping if there's ever a radio presenter a film, I'm going to be watching you. I'll be watching you carefully. So tell me this much. So this film you're saying came in a couple of years ago, did it?
Yeah, we filmed it in 2022, in the summer of 2022. So it's been kind of in the can for a while, and now it came out, which was really nice because I got to go to LA. It was an LA premiere in September, so I got to go to LA for the first time ever to see it over there.
Wow.
And it was that was wild.
And were you looked after well now? Like,
yeah. I mean, look, people think acting is all glamour. I mean, I'm yet to find any of that, as I'm sure most of my roles will testify to, because I never get to wear the glamour clothes. But no, we had a lovely time. I was in LA for a couple of days, and then
you put in a B&B that was a bit like the one in this film. No.
No, I didn't. No, but I had plenty of towels. I had definitely plenty of towels.
It's so funny, right? In this film, I don't want to give too much away, but the lady who's running the bed and breakfast is obsessed with the replenishing the towels, and none of the towels match, might I add, as well.
No, I know,
matches.
and the room would give you a headache.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Paul's character has to say, and
but it's
like,
pure 1980s. Like, I don't know whether, like, I think B&Bs around the country are kind of still like that.
Really?
It's got to be a few. Yeah, with the creaky
It's
floorboards and everything.
It's the charm of it.
Shabby chic, isn't that it? So this film is all about Colm Meaney's character and Paul Reiser's character, and basically they're long lost cousins, and there was a falling out years ago between the great whatever, going years back. So Colm Meaney's character is still based here in Ireland, obviously, and the cousin is one of these, high flying Americans, and it's so funny. So he has to track him down and get him to come over to Ireland.
Colm has to track him down, and he comes over. And when he does, obviously, it's a small village that Colm's character is from. And when he comes over, when Paul Reiser's character comes from New York to the town, even the car that Colm's character picks him up in at this train station where there's sheep. A lot of people are commenting saying there's sheep everywhere, but it's a nice
bit of paddywhackery, isn't it? Like, it is.
Yeah, but it's do you know what? It has a lot of charm. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a lot of fun, and this is it. So he comes over, and the whole town are just really excited to kind of see the American and be part of the story. But nothing ever runs smoothly in films or TV.
And even requesting that the American bring back sausages and tea bags to America for a niece who's working
and
over there.
Pudding, which is very important.
I'd say that happens. I'd actually say that happens. I'll never forget, years and years ago, my sister and my brother were gone to Australia for the year. You know the way as everyone used to, they'd go off for the year. And my mother went to Australia and surprised them, and she smuggled all the Super Quinn sausages with her, and in the vacuum packed things. And there was apparently signs everywhere in the airport in Sydney about bringing in food and how you're not, like, you see it all the time in that Border Control TV show. Oh
Absolutely.
no, she was getting those sausages and rashers in, and she did.
I know.
She said everyone
to buy them vacuum. You used to have to get them vacuum packed at the airport, and then that all is gone. But it's kind of really funny, because it's almost like the opposite is true. Because I have a lot of family in the States. I was in the States during the summer, and I met a friend of a friend, and they're like, "Oh, you're from Dublin?" Yeah. Oh, I know someone from Dublin. Do you know? I'm like, Ireland is small, but it's not that small.
I say you probably did. You know a lot of people. You probably did know the person.
I'm good, but I'm not that good. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
But look, it's good crack, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, and we don't take ourselves too seriously, because if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? That's what I would say.
So, like, if anyone going to see this going, "Oh Jesus, here we go again, one of these diddly idle Irish films," it's us kind of taking the mickey out of ourselves, really, as well, isn't it?
Yeah. What I will say about it as well, though, it makes Ireland look beautiful. The shots are gorgeous. Even I was like, "Oh God, maybe I'll book a weekend away," when I was watching it again the weekend.
So where was that all filmed, Eimear?
Wicklow, in and around the Wicklow area.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, and we got the most amazing weather for the whole time that we filmed. So we did like 4 or 5 weeks. I don't think it rained once.
Yeah.
And we kept saying, now I know it was like June, July, but it's Ireland. You can't bank on the weather.
Yeah.
Like, we were filming by lakes and, places where there would be like midgets if it was wet, and, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we were it was like someone was watching over it. Now, I had lost my dad in 2022. This was the first gig that I had done without him.
Yeah.
And like, there was loads of rainbows. We kept seeing loads of rainbows. Like, it was like this stereotypical. It was almost like we were going to see the leprechauns at the pot of gold at the end of it some of the days. And I was like, and I'm like, so I'm gonna credit my dad with the weather. But yeah, it was so beautiful to film there. And actually, there's a lovely celebration. I won't ruin it, towards the end of the film. When I arrived on set that day, was pretty magical. The way the whole setting of the outdoor party and stuff. Yeah. That in my head, I was like, if I ever do this, this is the way I'm going to do it, because it was just so beautiful. Ireland is a lovely country.
The real American Paul Reiser that went back to America with a false sense of Ireland has this lovely weather.
He did, because he kept saying, well, no, you guys said it rains here. No, you know, we're like, this is not normal. You are not experiencing normal Ireland.
This is not the
here.
norm. Normally it's lashing for premieres and all the rest, yeah. And Colm Meaney, was this your first encounter with Colm Meaney?
Yes, it was. What a dream.
I interviewed him a couple of times over the years. He is just the storytelling. He's just amazing at storytelling, isn't he?
Oh my God, 100%. We had, because this whole film is like an ensemble piece, we had amazing actors. We had like Sheila, who played the Banshee of Inisheer, and she was on us. We had Niall Buggy, and then we had Colm, and they all would have like crossed paths way back in the day, you know, in theatre and in film. And when they sat together, the stories that they told about like the industry and like the fun that they had.
I'd love to be
one of the actors,
wall, yeah.
You would go to work every day, and between the storytelling that they would do and Niall Buggy would break into song at any point in time about anything in the world. Like one of the days he sang I'm Coming Up, like, you know, and then other times he'd be singing these old fabulous musical theatre songs, and then Paul would get involved because he knows MT. Like, it was, I was so entertained on set every day, but the stories and Colm's storytelling, and then, you know, when he's there, Niall, and it was, another, like, I kept thinking to myself, if my dad was here, he would love me to be coming home in the evening and be like, well, what happened today? This story and that
you're like,
story.
I'm actually getting paid for this. Can you believe it?
Yeah. And I had an absolutely gorgeous time as well, hanging out in LA with Colm and the director, Chris, he's one of the, he has a tattoo that says silly on his arm, and he is the absolute king of mischief and fun. After the premiere, we spent a bit of time just having a drink and a catch up, and, you know, the premiere in LA, and we had such a lovely time. And again, Colm with loads of stories, and he knew he had a friend of his when he was over there who his friend had passed away, but he always brings his friend's wife out. Kind of, because he was an actor, and, you know, and he would tell him stories about this actor, and you're like, I didn't recognise the name. And then this man's wife was chatting away, and it was only when I went home I googled it, and it was the actor who played you know, Mr. Trigger in Friends, who gets Joey to do the dance classes with him. Okay. And it was he died suddenly as well in 2022. I think he had COVID, and he had some sort of reaction to the antibiotics. Right. But even the stories, and then putting a face to the stories that they were telling about them. And there is this real, I don't know whether it's an Irish thing, I don't know, but like, you could get this sense that as they go through, definitely as Colm has gone through kind of life, he was minding people as he went, and he really cares about people, you know, even though he is the best crack and the best fun, he's a big heart, and, you know, and that really kind of comes through with spending time with him and Paul. I mean, Paul was great as well, and like it was a really special gig, and I know people say that all the time. Well, I wouldn't say we felt like a family, we definitely felt like a village. To say that everyone had a really gorgeous time on that film is like not one word of an understatement. Like, it was absolutely really gorgeous time.
Colm Meaney was telling me, talking about the storytelling. I was interviewing him a good few years ago. What was it for? I can't even remember what it was for. And he was telling me how he had done a red carpet, and there was a PR girl on the red carpet who he met as he was leaving. You know, they go in and they kind of watch part of the film, and then they normally kind of slip off like just before the end. So he was leaving, and one of the PR girls came up to him, and I don't think she was working on whatever the film was, and she said, "Oh, how are you doing? I loved you in The Guard." And he was like, and he said to her, "I wasn't in The Guard." And she started saying to him, "Go away, would you stop it? Go away, you're gas," and all this. And he's like, no, really, I wasn't in The Guard. You're thinking of Brendan Gleeson. Oh. Wouldn't you just die on the spot?
So typical. Actually, it's funny because, like, obviously Paul Reiser is a big name, and he's a big name in the state.
Yeah.
And of course, he's just been in Stranger Things, and he's like filmed Boys. But everywhere we went in Ireland, people were all about Colm. They just wanted Colm. You know what I mean? Like, it was
Desi Curley. I mean, I actually think Desi Curley, the snapper, has been the most iconic character we've ever had.
Oh, I was saying to him, because I worked with Ruth McCabe, who played the mother in
Wife,
Snapper.
yeah.
And I worked with Tina Kelleher, who played...
Sorry, do you remember the scene with the knitting needles?
Oh,
Just let me finish this line, I'll be up in a minute.
yeah. So I said to Colm, I said, I'm slowly but surely making my way through the cast of the Snapper to make sure I work with you all.
Yeah.
So I've him, Ruth and Tina, who played Sharon. I've them ticked off my work with list. But they're, you know, and they're great stories of that film as well. And the way they filmed back then is completely different to the way we film things now, because of, like, obviously digital cameras, and, you know, everything is so different. And when you hear them talking about it, it's just, it's great. I mean, I learned so much, not just of stories, you know, but just you learn from working with people who've been in the industry a really long time.
I was doing a poll on the air there a few weeks ago, and I was asking the very simple question: the Barrytown trilogy, which was the best film? Now, Eimear, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, the Snapper.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, somebody messaged in and they said they had a story about the van, because they filmed the van on her father's, I think in her father's house actually.
Oh, wow.
A listener messaged in, and there was still the oil marks in the driveway from the van because it was leaking oil. And still to this day, the driveway's wrecked. Isn't that gas? Because it was such a flat out oil yoke.
You know, if that was America, they'd be doing tours of that oil stain.
I know.
To this day.
Tours of Kilbarrack. Actually, Eimear, we could do that, right? You'd be fantastic. You can reenact the scenes. I could do the commentary on it. There's a business for both of us. Forget about Hollywood. It's all about Kilbarrack.
And I could rob the Garda uniform if we got, you know, if we had any hassle, we'd be able to move things along fairly quickly.
It's been absolutely brilliant catching up, and I'm sure you're delighted the film's out now and everyone's getting to see it. Yeah, I am. I'm thrilled, and hopefully people enjoy it. Thanks so much for having me on. And we'll talk to you soon. It's Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.